Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, guys.
Okay,
How y'all
I did
doing?
get it right this time. I think last time I have to apologize. I introduced you as a state representative.
Hey, you know what? When you said that, there were about half as many rocks that were being thrown at me at my window, so I appreciate it, actually.
Well, no, I have to apologize. I didn't even know I did it until after the show, and Matt says, you introduced him as a state representative. So, obviously, you're not. You're our congressman of the 19th district, and we're very glad to have you here. So, anything going on in Washington that's worth talking about?
Well, let me tell you that the best news that I can relay to you and my constituents is that our first bill, I say our because it's a team effort and it's representing West Texas values, and the president signed our first bill into law, and it has to do with serving our disabled veterans and making sure that those we ask to go and fight for our country and our freedom, who are, when they're injured in the line of duty, that we take care of them when they come home. We modify their home to make sure that they have the best quality of life. That program was extremely bureaucratic. This is a very straightforward, common sense, bipartisan, by the way, solution, and it's going to save taxpayer money, and it's going to improve the service that our veterans get. And very proud of it, very grateful that the president signed it, and I'm proud that that of all things that we could do for our first bill, and that it would be focused on our wounded warriors and our heroes.
Well, that's great. That's fantastic. So, I guess the other news is the Farm Bill. Where do we stand with that?
Well, we passed it out of the committee with no Democrat support because they don't want apparently they don't want to require able-bodied people to have to work to receive government assistance. By the way, we're only talking about 20 hours a week, and we're also saying that could be in the form of job training if necessary. But nevertheless, 'tis the season, midterm elections, Democrats are digging their heels in. So we needed all Republicans to get it out of the House on the floor. And a group of Republicans decided that they wanted to have greater assurance that we'd get a vote on immigration reform. And that should have and could have been worked out, I think, before the vote, but it wasn't. Now we've got the Farm Bill teed up in its current form to be voted on June 22nd, and I'm confident we've got the votes, all Republican, but we'll have the votes to get it to the Senate.
Okay, Congressman, I did notice that you'd sent something about a welfare reform bill going through. Is that going to, in essence, have the same things that are in the Farm Bill or in the Ag Bill, or is that something different?
Good question, Matt. This is temporary assistance for needy families, TANF, another big welfare program, about $20 billion a year in expenditures. That's mostly in the form of a block grant to the states. The states are not using it to focus on the neediest families, so they're diffusing a little bit of our efforts there, and we're also not holding the states accountable around the core metrics of employment, not just employment, but long-term employment. So we are retooling that in the same way we are the food stamp reforms. And so we're going to try to align all of these welfare programs where people are making a lifestyle and they're trapped and they're not making the most of their God-given talents. We're trying to make sure that the policies that we're putting in place on the food stamp side are in all these government assistance programs so they can work together for the same objective: 6 million surplus jobs, a labor shortage, millions of able-bodied people on the sidelines. Let's get them to work. It's good for them. It's good for our economy.
Yeah, I mean, we've been kind of preaching it here that if you want a job, you can find a job right now.
Nope. Listen, we're at the lowest unemployment in decades, highest job participation in decades. You've got the confidence in markets, the confidence in consumers, business confidence. I mean, we just keep getting better economic numbers. We're at about a 4% growth pattern now, which is twice what we had over the last 8 years under the Obama administration. But listen, our conservative philosophy, free market principles of unleashing the job creators from the high cost and burden of taxes and regulations is doing exactly what we'd hoped. And we just need to make sure we don't set that back in any way with unnecessary sort of trade war dynamics. That's something that's going to be a quite delicate dance. But I think the president understands that. We got these midterms coming up. Let's keep this economy growing. Let's sell it. And I think most people are going to say, look, let's not fix what's not broken. We hadn't seen an economy like this in a decade.
Yeah, no kidding. So how are you feeling about the midterms, Congressman?
Well, the numbers are improving, but, the number guys, the prognosticators and the pundits got it wrong, this last presidential.
They've gotten it wrong many times.
Well, many times, but I think even more so now. They're so much animus between the national media and our president. You can, they've got an agenda, and we need to be out there. But all the more, we've got to be out there telling the real story and using the facts that are on our side. But most Americans feel that. They see it. They're keeping more money in their pockets. Recently they announced that personal income and family income is increasing. So I think the American people are smart enough to figure out, the difference between lies and the truth. That they're living a more hopeful America and a more hopeful future because of this historic tax and regulatory relief.
Congressman, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk more on the other side.
You got it.
And we're back here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. And again, we're talking with Congressman Jodey Arrington. Congressman, I understand you've been in the district this past week.
Yeah, it's always good to be back for more than a couple of days. And so I got to visit with small business and bigger businesses alike. Went to tour Cisco's facility. They're a great company and a nationwide company. They employ hundreds of people and deliver. They're part of the food ecosystem. We have producers and we've got people that store it and deliver it, and that's what Cisco does. And yeah, talked to high school kids, went to that Lone Star Varsity Awards to see the best of our student athletes from, like 50 counties, which was inspiring, and talked to some ministries like Rachel's Vineyard that ministers to women who've gone through the abortion tough journey or valley, should I say, and they are, it's an awesome story to hear what they're doing to help heal the broken hearts of women that have gone through that, not just women, but families. So always inspired by things that I learned that I didn't even know before I took this job, but it's not surprising to me. West Texans just have the biggest hearts and, love what these guys are doing for their communities. They're not waiting for the federal government to have a Rachel's Vineyard program. They just go out and do it out of the love of their heart, and that's the American spirit.
Congressman, President Trump, he put on a couple of tariffs, I guess over the weekend or Friday. He said that he's going to put, I think, on Canada and Mexico the steel and aluminum tariffs he was looking at. How is that going to affect West Texas, do you think?
Well, I think there are a lot of folks, whether you're in the oil and gas business, which I think would be probably at the top of the chain in terms of how it would affect our businesses, that will pay more money for product, and that's just because a lot of their supply chains are not in this country. Some of them have a diverse supply chain, so they're getting some of the product locally, if you will, but a lot of it is where they can get it cheaper, And so I think they're going to see a premium on their products. They'll see the costs go up, and of course, consumers will pay more ultimately because that cost will be passed to consumers. But so we've got to be careful that we don't apply tariffs too broadly. We need to focus on the bad actors. I think China is definitely a bad actor when it comes to steel and aluminum. I think Canada is a bad actor when it comes to dairy. They put 200% tariffs on our dairy, so that's part of the NAFTA trade negotiations. But just to suffice it to say, we need the trade parameters to be followed by all. We need the parameters to be fair, and we need people to abide by them. And if they don't, you've got to use every tool you can to bring them to the table and to hit reset, or countries like China will put us out of the steel and aluminum manufacturing, and that's not a good position from a national security any more than if China put us out of the food and fiber making business. So it's the last resort. It should be targeted, should be measured, and I think the president, I think he gets that, but I think right now he's just trying to keep the other guys guessing.
Congressman, that's looks like our time is about up, and we certainly appreciate you spending some time with us this morning.
Great to be with you, Dave. Matt, God bless. Go West Texas.
Thank you, Congressman.
Bye-bye. Okay, quick break, and we'll be back with more in a moment.